Welcome to the One Shot Effect podcast. This is episode 9, and I'm joined by the legendary Jason Stacks.
What's going on,
Who
guys?
is
What's going
Jason
on?
Stacks?
Jason Stacks. That's a tough question. Let's see. I'm 20 years old. Full time entrepreneur. I dropped out of college
20.
this year, so this is my first year being a full time entrepreneur. Um, Kind of got into the game, and when I was 12 years old, I started making money online, doing little musically videos. Kind of fell in love with the idea of being creative, being innovative through digital content, and I'm still doing that to this day.
Beautiful, bro. So 20 years old, bro. That's young, dude. I love that. I'm 23. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's such a.
I don't like being in my 20s. I don't like the how
I
that
feel you,
sounds.
bro. I mean, I don't know. For me, my life's been a long experience of always being the youngest in the room.
Yeah,
Always
me
be
too,
the
dude.
dumbest in the room and you'll learn the most, right?
No, 100%. I mean, I'm a youngest child. When I was coming up in like the musically TikTok influencer space, I was always, the guy that was half everyone's height. I looked like a baby compared to everyone else because there was like a 2, 3 year age difference. Um,
So how
and
did
yeah,
you get
I
into
was
that? Maybe that's a good
like,
first question.
yeah, sure. So let's see. I was never allowed to have social media when I was a kid. Um, and then all of a sudden, I found this app that my friends were using. It's called Musically. And I go up to my parents one day. They're like drinking some wine. And I say, "Hey, mom and dad, can I download this app? You can make like music videos on it." They didn't know it was social media. Like they only knew Instagram, Facebook, like those types of things. They're like, "Yeah, sure, go for it." So I download it, and 6 months later, I start. I have like 1,000 followers, and I'm showing it to them, and it's like, wait, followers? Like you have social media? And it's just kind of like kept snowballing from there. And it was one of those things that I kind of believed in believed in what the platform could do for people. I saw people growing followers on there, and it wasn't something that I was like, oh, I want to make money from this. Like, oh, I'm gonna bet my whole future on this. It was just like it was fun. Social media was still this new shiny thing, and I was like, oh, this is sick seeing that number go up and seeing people actually enjoy the dumb little videos I make. I tried doing YouTube when I was like 9, 10 years old. My brothers were editing them for me. Like I was always just so fascinated by that. But this was finally an outlet where I was able to just start growing that number just by myself. But making stupid little cup stacking videos in my bedroom.
Yeah, and maybe a lot of people even watching this wouldn't really know much about Musically, but maybe a good question is like, how does Musically compare to TikTok?
Yeah. So musically, it was really the start of short form. Like it was formatted the exact same way we know of TikTok, where you're scrolling through a vertical video feed. So they kind of invented that concept. Um, but the main difference is like this was pre-algorithms. There's no curated for you page. The
Mm.
only two feeds you would have was following, which was chronological. It was you would see the latest post from your friends, and then you would have a featured page where some team over at Musically was handpicking one video every 30 minutes to show at the top of this featured page, and again that just
Wow.
displayed chronologically. So
I wonder if
definitely
there was
compared to
like some favoritism going on there.
oh, there definitely was like one because that's the thing. Once you become a favorite, like I started. I got my first feature, and then the next one came like maybe a month after, and then after that, it's like almost every other day they're just picking one of your videos to throw up there. So that was definitely interesting to see how much more raw and genuine the social media like community felt because you know people weren't trying to please an algorithm, they were actually trying to please people, and I
I
think
think
that's
I think that's exactly it. Is they were almost encouraged to do the opposite of that, like over edited. For me, it's all about
yeah,
like time between ideation and creation, right? You
yeah,
look at
yeah.
Hollywood, that shit takes so long, man.
Oh yeah.
Whereas someone live streaming or someone posting a short form video, that's like exciting. It's new.
Hmm. Hmm. No, I 100% agree with that. Yeah, I think it's cool that Musical was kind of the people to invent that concept.
So I think, yeah, I think you really just followed your curiosity, and I think that's
Yeah.
kind of exactly what's got you to where you are now. But I'm curious, like, how did it? Yeah, so how did you get into musically? Like, where did it go from musically, and And it's really just following that curiosity, right?
Yeah, no. So from Musically, I started growing a little bit of a following. Um, maybe had so I actually got they used to call them crowns. So instead of a verification, you get crowned on Musically, and that was the thing that took me from 20,000 followers to 100,000 followers. Um, and so after I like kind of solidified myself, like 100,000 followers was a lot back then. Like now it's like nothing on TikTok. But once I kind of solidified myself with that, I was having other apps who were trying to compete with Musically approach me to do like content creation for them to kind of grow their influencer base on those platforms. One of those actually being Vigo Video. They changed names a couple times. It used to be Flipagram, then it was Hipstar, but this was actually Bigo or not Bigo, sorry. Um, uh, ByteDance, the company that owns TikTok, they were kind of working on both of these apps because they own Flipagram as well. Because they were pushing some content creators over there, and I ended up growing like
Flipagram.
a pretty big following on that platform, and you know it was it almost felt like that snowball was finally like unlocking something that I could bet my future on, something like I was actually making like maybe $1,000 a month, but when you're 15 years old, like that's a pretty solid amount of money. um so I kind of
Impressive,
started seeing
yeah.
that path. I was taking on like minor brand deals, promoting stuffed animals or whatever. But that app ended up having to get shut down because it was right when TikTok was like finally blowing up. Like even at VidCon that year, they didn't even have a booth for TikTok, but they had a booth for Vigo Video. Um, so
Damn. And then
this was
that
like
one ended that same year.
yeah, yeah, it ended the same year. They completely shut it down. I actually lost my contract before they went for the full shutdown because there's some like law in China because it's a Chinese based company where they can't hire content creators if they're under 18. So I ended up having
Oh,
to. It was
wow.
like you can either make every single video with your mom in it, or your contract's done. Um, and then the Musically switch to TikTok happened. Tried to kind of keep up the post on there, but you know, I want to call it a shadow ban. It makes me feel better. Saying I was shadow banned. Who knows, bro? Like, I definitely could have revived it if I kept working at it. But it was kind of like one thing after another. The manager I was working with at the time, actually, we found out he was a registered sex offender. T, yeah.
It's not
But
great, bro.
had to cut all ties with him. And it was just kind of just like one thing after another. I was starting to get more involved with the theater program at my high school, kind of doing more of the traditional high schooler type of things. And I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it because I'm where I'm at today because of it. But yeah, it was definitely a crazy journey, and it's a crazy story to tell people.
And I think, like, for listeners out there, I think it's really just like follow your curiosity. It might not always make sense at the time, but
Yeah,
like one thing leads to the next, right?
bro. And like the other thing on that is just like don't care about what other people think. You can't give a fuck about what people think because that's probably the biggest lesson I learned through all of it is like I was always kind of a shy kid. I didn't really have like I didn't really fit in, in school. So I kind of I wasn't worried about me posting this video and friends were gonna make fun of me. I didn't have friends, like it didn't matter. So I was kind of just like doing my own thing, and as I started to grow that, I did have people make fun of me. I did have people at school like you know I realized it was out of jealousy, but it's still definitely you just can't let it phase you.
True. Yeah, and I think it's so interesting, kind of social media nowadays and like high school and kind of how they integrate and even just socializing in general. But
Oh yeah.
then for me, one of the weirdest parts is like social medias make it addictive for people using like social media, but also the people who post to social media. And I think TikTok is
Hmm.
probably one of the best examples of that. It's like they often
Hmm.
boost people's like first few videos, or they do it sporadically to get you addicted, like to get you that hit of
Yeah.
dopamine. And
They're always like,
it's
congratulations,
such
your video
weird
got
social
200 views.
science being done with children, and it's all
It
children.
is.
That's the crazy part. And it's like the weird thing about children is you can't really make money off them, except parents have credit cards, and children eventually age and become customers. You look at Mr. Beast. Homie's
Oh yeah.
playing the long grooming game, bro.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I think that's definitely interesting. It's not it's not social anymore, dude. It's not social media.
Mmm. Facts.
Um, and you know, I think it's really obviously, I don't want to discredit all the amazing things that have come from social media. People have
Mmm.
built whole on careers. Like it's
And
really
they're
fueled a lot of
tools
small businesses.
for how
However,
you use them, right?
yeah, I think from a social standpoint, it's really sad to see that people can get that same feeling that they would get, in a social setting, hanging out with friends by watching other people hang out with their friends. And that is detrimental to, society, especially for youth.
Yeah. And maybe it's not. I literally was like replying to what you said, and then I forgot what you said. But what I was, what I meant was like, it's like, at the end of the day, like it is how people use social media, like,
Mhm.
and it's tricky how they all kind of copy each other. I think that's a weird one. It's like, for me, it's like Facebook, Instagram. Like Facebook bought Instagram, so it's like there's really not that many different ideas of social media going out there because all
Mhm.
they're all copying each other. Instagram copies Snapchat, YouTube copies.
Right.
But
And
I'm always curious, like, could a different, better social media exist, right? It
I think
probably
it could.
could,
I think it
but
100% could. And I was even, toying with this idea for the, first part of this year. That was kind of as I was figuring out what do I want to do in business. Like that's something I'm super passionate about. I I think social media needs a makeover.
mm,
And um,
and I
I
think
guess
people are craving more authenticity. We've seen the
for sure.
podcast boom.
For
We've
sure.
seen, I think live streaming is interesting.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
You look
And
at
I
the
think going back to
Kaizenets.
yeah, the
Oh,
consonants. I think going back to your point of like choosing how you use social media, I think the issue is the top social media platforms don't let you choose. You're spoon fed the
mm.
content they want you to see, and
Yeah, I
I've
think a
always
good
YouTube.
example of that is you can't like disable YouTube Shorts in YouTube. Like,
Exactly. I hate YouTube Shorts, dude. I love YouTube because I feel like I'm selecting which content I'm going to watch, but then next thing I know, I'm sucked into YouTube Shorts feed. Like, it's terrible.
yeah, it's a tricky thing, and I think it's people got to be like gentle with themselves. Like if you catch yourself being addicted to social media, like you got like you're someone almost got to also cut yourself some slack and just realize
Mhm.
how addictive these things are, and
Yeah,
how like serious these things are, and like how you gotta actually like kind of like put limit like help yourself.
yeah. Like, there's that one screen time app, Opal, I think it's called, that like completely blew up.
Fair.
People know it's an issue, and they want to fix it.
Yeah, but then it's like everyone is addicted to their phone.
Mhm. Dude, I even noticed it just like driving. It's like I know I'm guilty of it too. Like I'm at a stoplight, I'm scrolling my phone, but like every once in a while, I'll take a step back and just see phone, phone,
You,
phone, 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 and
yeah.
it's just like, wow, like,
So for me, like a concern is like EMPs and like war in the future. You just
hmm
like destroy a country's electricity.
yeah.
If that's possible, I don't know.
I
But
mean, we saw it with like the T-Mobile outage. It was only lasted like maybe 2 3 hours, but the world went crazy. Like,
low. Yeah, I mean
yeah,
even recently there was like Windows computer software crashed and there was like the planes
hmm
couldn't fly.
yeah, yeah. It was the Microsoft outage. Yeah,
Like
crazy, dude.
what?
Yeah, that's gonna be the next big terrorist
Even
attack.
just like the older your phone gets, it somehow kind of starts to stop working. It's like
hmm
obviously batteries don't last forever, etc. But it's like eventually I feel like we're gonna run out of components. Like I mean there's already been the shortages of like graphics cards and stuff with
Yeah, the whole
crypto.
Nvidia thing. Yeah.
Bro, Nvidia is good stocks to have gotten.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, dude, it's definitely crazy, and especially like you and me, kind of growing up in the smartphone revolution. I still remember the day my mom got her first iPhone, and just seeing like that piece of technology and being like, wow, like I've only ever seen flip phones up to that point, and
Yeah.
you know, it's just crazy.
Phone's crazy. Like you can change your life with a phone for the better or
Hmm.
for the worse. And that's
Yeah.
even the tricky part is you can get addicted to posting or you could get addicted to consuming. And you could be
Yep.
consuming in a healthy way or you could be consuming in an unhealthy way or you could be posting in a healthy way or in an unhealthy way. And it's
Hmm.
so weird how different people kind of go different ways with it, right? And it's like
Now,
maybe it's not for everyone. Like,
now, obviously, we have like healthy diets, but is there a world where there's like a perfectly healthy way to use social media?
mm. And I think that's the tricky part. Like, none of these things have been tested. Like, no one's seen the effects of this on like human health
Mhm.
over 100-year period.
True.
And I think even just like lights late at night, I think that's probably a big one. Like the
Hmm.
whole blue light filters or something like that.
Yeah, definitely turning on that nighttime filter. I've started doing that a lot after hearing some expert talk about it in a podcast. I was like, oh, that's easy enough. I'll still use my phone, but hit that
Any
on.
other health tips for the viewers?
No, but I mean, that light one is definitely huge. There's a lot of science behind just making sure the 2 hours before you're going to sleep, you're only in low light, and then also when you're first waking up in the morning, shocking yourself with bright light, stepping outside. That's how you can um, get your circadian rhythm in line, and also doing that at the same time every single day is the most important thing for your energy levels.
Fair. So yeah, tell us the journey of like musically to where you are now.
Yeah, so I guess picking back up on that, I mean, I think when COVID hit, that was probably the big turning point for me. When I started getting super into uh, learning Photoshop, that was when I finally had time to sit down and figure it out. It was completely self taught. I mean, I watched some YouTube videos and stuff, but got like super into Photoshop, and then as well as like video editing tools like Premiere, After Effects. Just got completely obsessed with that stuff, and I was able to actually lead the marketing team for my high school theater program, and so that's kind of how I got involved with sort of the more professional side of social media. Running brand accounts and doing branded commercials and stuff like that. And so after that, it was like I fell in love with the idea of just like innovating with these video and photo tools. So I ended up going to school for animation. Did that for about a year and a half before realizing that dude, I'm sitting in these college classes like watching YouTube videos that I've already seen 4 years prior. Like
Facts. I had
it's
a
just
similar experience. I like did
really,
a video editing course.
yeah. There's just with that kind of thing, like there's just so much information out there online, and with an industry like you know animation and video, like it's changing so fast. We with the rise of AI and everything, like they're not teaching that in college. They're not going to be teaching that in college for the next 5 years. They're always going to be so behind the curve with that kind of thing. So
Dude, I
I kind of just
studied
realized I
digital
was.
marketing and I had the same realization with that
Oh yeah,
too. And I studied
yeah,
video editing. It's like, oh, I'm learning marketing from someone who doesn't even know what TikTok is. Like, how does that
yeah,
make sense?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, people grow entire businesses on TikTok now, and they're still not teaching it.
Bro,
So
TikTok
yeah,
Shop, I think, is one of the most underutilized places on the internet.
yeah, yeah. There was some stat that came out. I forget what it was, but I think they topped. Was it Timu? I don't know. They were. It was like it was just some crazy number of like how popular TikTok Shop has gotten. Like the amount of people that do their shopping on there is just super impressive.
It's so
Um,
surprising. I mean, my friend, I think she bought like a buy like two get one free cologne on TikTok. I'm like,
mhm.
who buys cologne on TikTok, bro?
I think it's
Like,
really just that.
dude, but consumer behavior just evolves
Yeah,
that
it
rapidly,
does,
and
and I think it's
you'd
really just
be
that
surprised.
trust
And I think
factor.
facts, true. And I think paid advertising doesn't work the same way it used to. When people see
No,
sponsored, they're like, ah, guard up.
no,
Ah,
yeah.
we're being sold to. Ah, spammy DM. Oh, but a celebrity? We love giving money to millionaires that are celebrities. Like, dude,
Hmm.
the whole donating to a streamer that's like a multimillionaire is the most
Yeah,
insane thing.
because they need to be donated to, right? Yeah. That's a good point. That's a good point.
But I
No, I
think
think
it really comes back to attention mostly, which is
yeah,
so we used to be in the information age and now we're in the attention age, and I think that's just getting to extreme
mm,
levels. Where it's
yeah,
like people will spend $50 to get a streamer's attention, or people will spend $50 on Google Ads so that you see their business, right?
hmm, yeah. No, I think in terms of short form, Um, I almost think organic content, and I guess TikTok shop content, because I guess they only show the little like creator makes commission, like it doesn't say sponsored, which feels a little bit more genuine. But even like the best short form ad, like if you're doom scrolling, like it might trick you. I know Instagram does it. Like for the first 2 seconds of the video, it doesn't show the sponsored thing. It's like it almost tricks you, and you're like, oh, interesting. And then you see sponsored, probably you're like, nope, next. So it's just people
Lol.
are so tired of being advertised to, you know.
Yeah, I think that's really where influencer marketing is huge.
Mhm.
Yeah, so yeah, kind of take us more in that journey of like how did things evolve from yeah, musically to here.
Yeah. So my fall semester of last year, that was the last semester that I went to school for. I started a company called Showtime Strategies, where we were doing theater posters and theater workshops for schools across the state of Virginia, and that was kind of how I first started generating revenue through my graphic design stuff. It was more like a freelance type of business, but I was able to start leveraging AI tools to generate the posters and really just generate me a starting point for the design. So it really sped up my workflow and was able to help me provide a ton more value to a ton more schools. So I was able to do like a full marketing media bundle for them that normally would have taken me like days to do, and I could whip it up in maybe 3-4 hours. Um, so started doing that, and then the thing I didn't like about it, obviously I was obsessed with AI tools. I was still studying like all the new latest and greatest stuff. But the thing I didn't like about it was the idea of like replacing any part of the design process. Obviously I think it was enhancing it to an extent, but I wanted to lean more into the idea of AI image tools being a creative empowerment tool, and creating something that you wouldn't be able to do with traditional design tools. Um, so definitely like leaning into kind of the scalability of it and leaning into the hyper personalization of it was something that I really wanted to explore. And I actually saw the Barbie campaign. They did a really cool one. They didn't necessarily use generative AI, but it was a very similar concept where users could take a photo of their face and then it generated like these custom Barbie posters straight on their platform. And that was a really great example of like, using, emerging technologies, but creating a hyper personalized brand message through it. So I kind of fell in love with that and started exploring use cases there and ended up coming up with an idea for, obviously I came from the theater space. I was a huge fan of Back to the Future, the musical. I saw it in London a couple years ago, but I had this idea. I was like, what if we use image AI to create like a time traveling platform where users can see what they look like in different decades? Because I'd seen like it kind of trended on TikTok for a little bit, and just made a lot of sense for their brand. So I was like, screw it, I'm gonna invest in this. I got a team on it, contracted it out, and got them to develop this branded platform to kind of prove the idea that I had in the back of my head. And after it was done being built, we approached the company and said, "Hey, we built this. What do you think?" And ended up signing a contract with them. So that was kind of our
Wow.
first win in the business space.
It sounds like the real reason you succeeded was execution. It's exactly what I was talking about. It's
Mm-hmm.
that separate it's for me the secret to creativity is separate like making the time between ideation and execution like as short as possible, and you see that with successful people,
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs, and sure, people who have the money to make a team or but it's also seeing the value of moving fast, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the ideation is definitely very important, and it's kind of why we're building a new platform right now, which is going to allow brands to create and deploy their own branded photo booths directly into the platform. So instead of having to wait 4 to 6 weeks to get a platform fully developed, you're able to have the idea and then realize it right then and there. So I think that's going to be super huge for us to even just show our high ticket clients, oh, this is the power of this technology. This is how it's going to look for your brand. Because I think even the CMOs that we end up signing on, just them being able to experience it themselves. The second that you see yourself being transformed into some world, or just seeing some cool thing happen on your phone that you've never seen before, like I don't know. I think that's really what sold it for them. Them being able to experience it themselves. Because once you see it, you get it.
What was the client again? So was this related to the first thing with the schools or no?
This no. So this was we kind of stepped up from high school theaters to Broadway. So this is the cream of the crop for the theater industry. And
Okay, and then you had kind of the idea of like that Bobby way where helping to advertise the movie, but as a way to
yep,
help advertise the theater.
yep, exactly. So I actually
Okay,
have one.
yeah, that's
I have
okay, awesome.
Yeah. So here's me as Marty McFly right on the poster.
Wow,
So now
I
any
love
fan
it.
can go onto our platform and generate one of these posters and order it.
Nice.
Uh,
That's so cool,
so yeah,
man.
it's the first ever like personalized Broadway poster,
And
and
you guys
it's
print the posters and deliver them
yeah,
as
yeah. We
well?
have a fulfillment center that prints them and ships them directly to the customers.
Nice. That's good, bro.
Thank you, thank
Cool.
you.
What a yeah, so kind of how come like what's been your experience of maybe hiring? What have you learned in that journey? And kind of like even just impressed and surprised by like your audacity to just like get a team on it, and like what does that even
Hmm.
look like, and what makes you decide to do this idea and not this idea? Or like
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, how did you know you had something special maybe?
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, we're still trying to prove that we have something special. Like it's definitely a very untapped market. It's not like a traditional SMMA or drop shipping where you've seen hundreds of thousands of people do the same business model and succeed. We have maybe two or three competitors that we found. I find a new one maybe every couple weeks. They're just so hard to find people that are, you know, hitting the nail on the head in the same way that we're trying to with this mission.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, I was a big fan of Alex Hormozy for a while, so I kind of fell in love with the idea of doing the work for free and proving the concept, proof over promise all day. So I knew I wouldn't be able to build a company around this idea until we had the proof. So I wasn't even planning on charging for this platform for Back to the Future. I wanted this to be like a free demo. I was willing to invest, however much it took to get it out there and get the numbers where we want them to. And we are still working on getting those numbers to where we want them to, but we did end up coming to a longer term agreement with them, uh, which helps us fund what we want to do and keep iterating on top of it. But yeah, I guess in terms of getting the team, I mean, I lucked out. Like I um, actually met my CTO at VCU when I was going to school there, and he already had like a whole team that he's been doing like software projects with. They're super young, they're super hungry, and so he's kind of been throwing them on these projects, and it's been a really great collaborative process uh, with his guys. So
Awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, it's really about networking and putting yourself out there.
mhm.
But it is tricky to scale teams, or it can be. And I think kind of what you're saying, yeah, definitely, it's about solving your own problem first, or a
Mhm.
problem
Mhm.
that you're at least interested in solving.
Yeah,
And then kind of to your Alex Hormozy point, or maybe a concern that comes up from my side is like you look
mhm.
at these Ubers and like these businesses who can just afford to make a loss for
Yeah,
so long. I don't know if you have
yeah,
any thoughts on that, but then it's also some industries like it only makes sense for a small guy to win.
yeah.
It's
No, I
about
agree.
how you position yourself, I guess.
I think it's about like if your idea is big enough, if your mission is big enough to justify, getting hundreds of millions of dollars from investors and not being profitable for many years. Um, but yeah, dude, I mean, I've definitely thought about that, but I don't know. I think it's interesting and almost makes me think of what we were talking about earlier with the what is the next social media. That's probably a big example of a big idea that would need that type of funding. I think the social media platforms that have done it well, in terms of the social human connections are Be Real, Laps. They both had really good missions behind them, but they weren't profitable because it costs so much money to you know have all this data, all the videos and photos coming through your platform, and unless you have an ad every two swipes like Instagram or TikTok, you're not making money off that. So I think it's unfortunate sometimes, um, to think about that, just because like I don't know, like I just don't see uh, a new real raw social media platform happening unless it's like a nonprofit, government funded, or something. Like even Vine that everyone loved had to shut down because of they weren't making money. Another great example that comes to mind is House Party. You remember House Party? Yeah, that was like super cool because it kind of like lowered the almost like social barriers that existed in like FaceTiming your friends. It was just so much more casual. You were just hanging out in rooms and you could just hop on there and just like hang out with your friends.
I
But
suppose
again, they
it
weren't
ended up
profitable at
being a
all.
worse Discord
It ended up being technically a worse Discord. I think
with a
it was,
unique angle and hype and kind of
yeah,
mostly mobile app integration.
yeah. I think I would almost think of it as like a more casual Discord, like the Discord mods, the Discord kittens. They kind of have
Yeah,
like
and I
this,
think without the kind of gamer
yeah,
stereotype, it's more
yeah.
casual. You had people like Logan Paul on it and stuff like that.
And Epic Games actually bought House Party,
So I
which
mean,
was
that's another thing right there. So like even you with your company as an example, if bigger investors see the value, they could just like potentially offer you a buyout. And I mean
oh yeah,
that's or like
for
like
sure.
to catch up, right? Or they
Yeah,
just copy paste.
yeah, yeah.
How do you kind of see your company evolving and you see yeah, how do you see that like involvement and are you interested in starting different companies or yeah.
Yeah, so I think really in terms of long term vision, like everything comes back to the mission statement that I founded this company on, which is AI for a more creative tomorrow. And you know, I really hate even having the word AI in there just because there's so much negative, I guess, like sentiment around that word. And that's kind of the whole thing that we're trying to push against and push away from is this idea of AI replacing artists or AI being humanity's downfall. I think the biggest thing that's going to come out of this AI revolution is you know massive creativity and massive jobs that are going to be created that are focused around storytelling and creativity, and that's what really gets me going. And so I think a really cool way that we're able to do that is with brands, and we're able to help people make money and help people actually grow their social media presence with these personalized AI image and video generators. And so, kind of the idea behind the platform we're building right now, um, is that as these new AI tools come out, we have as soon as Sora gets released, as soon as the next big image generator, we can kind of just plug and play that into our systems, and be able to build something that's interactive with those tools.
And I think, yeah, you would just learn a lot of like how they interact with them. I mean, for me, I think one of my favorite use cases with AI is having the AI prompt me and prompt
Mhm.
information out of me. And like
Mhm.
how I've also seen it used well is like using AI as a coach or kind of a like a critic. It's like mark my paper.
Hmm.
strictly, and then people like improved their paper and then they turned it in and it didn't plagiarize. They just had like someone mark it, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think I'm more on the side of like, you know, LLMs are great. Like I love all the chat capabilities. Um, but I just think there's so much, you know, potential yet to be unlocked for the image space and the creative AI space. Like,
Yeah.
in 2 or 3 years from now, we might be able to go onto an AI platform and describe the dream we had in 2 minutes, just like we would to our friend in the morning, and AI would be able to recreate the entire thing as like
That
a
would be sick.
cinematic movie. Like just this idea of being able to actually capture your ideas in the way you see them in your head, in the quickest way possible, and it really lowers that barrier to entry in the entire creative space.
And what do you think of Midjourney?
I'm a I'm a huge fan of Midjourney. I've been using it for about a year now, actually. Definitely, definitely the strongest platform in terms of, um, I don't know, like I think they do a really good job at allowing you to like tweak the prompts, and but you do have to be skilled in prompting. I don't
Hmm.
think it's as good as ChatGPT in terms of capturing uh, the language that you're putting into it, and prompted here. It's really just like you can type a normal sentence into ChatGPT and it's able to figure it out and generate a dolly image
Fair.
uh,
Well,
for you. But
maybe
Midjourney,
maybe
it's very
the
much like technical prompting.
maybe the solution is asking ChatGPT, "Hey, how do I prompt Midjourney best?"
Yeah, yeah. That's the dream. I've tried those, dude. People have made like Mid-Journey prompt generators. They're not good, bro. They're
Yeah,
not
it'd
good.
be crazy to see how it still evolves, I guess. So, would you consider them like a competitor, or is it something you could collaborate using their technology, or?
Oh yeah, not a competitor at all. Definitely much more collaborative. Unfortunately, Midjourney doesn't offer an API. I've asked the CEO before on like Discord, like, will you guys ever have an API? And he's like, no, no, not what we're looking at right now. Just it's almost like a Pandora's box type of situation. He just thinks a lot more bad will come than good out of it. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think in terms of competitors, that for what we're gonna make money on now and in the next 2 3 years, yes, there's competitors and there's people we're modeling off of. It's like these creative experiential marketing type of companies. That's kind of the model we're in right now. But long term, I mean, there's nobody doing it in the way that we want to be doing it.
That's
It's a
good. I
very
mean,
open
they
field.
always ask, "What's your unique selling point?" So maybe that's a good question. What's yours?
Yeah, yeah. So currently, it's no nobody is there's very few brands that are leveraging image AI to generate personalized content for their fans. And even like video AI, video UGC. Um, the only companies that are leveraging AI UGC are like creating those like dummy models that are talking about a product, or kind of just those like AI avatars, AI influencers. And I just don't think that's the answer whatsoever. I think it's fine now, it's trendy now, but it's literally dead internet. It's going when our feeds start getting flooded with that shit, like nobody's watching social media anymore. Like
Well,
if it
this
keeps
is
going
kind
that
of
direction,
even Twitter is a good example. I get so many
yeah,
spam messages,
so many
and
bots just
even just
flooding.
bots, automation, and DM spam, comment spam.
And I don't know
But
if you
yeah,
just
this
don't.
is actually very well said. I mean, a lot of people kind of
Yeah.
said that kind of like the whole AI. Someone's told me that's kind of one of the reasons AI is gonna fail. Someone said that, but he was kind of
Mhm.
saying that like AI is just getting taught how to create stuff, and then it's creating more stuff that it's learning from the new
Mhm.
creations, and it's
Yeah,
just kind
it's
of adding dead internet. That's a good word for it. And it
yeah,
makes it harder and harder for people to keep up with their friends, which was a good use case
yeah,
for
no,
social
definitely,
media.
definitely.
and people
Yeah.
follow more and more like AI accounts, highly edited accounts, celebrities, people that they don't know, and it's more byproducts, byproducts, less let's meet up with friends.
Yeah. And I even still don't know what the answer is. I don't know if this bubble is ever going to burst. If it's going to be one of those things where, it's going to take TikTok getting banned in the US, which it's about to, or I don't know what that moment is going to be for us, but it's not going to look the way that, we know social media now 5 years from now. I
Mm.
can guarantee that.
And I think a weird part about it is like how social medias feel forced to copy maybe their competitors. Sure, maybe
Oh,
financially, but also like their users are just not going to use their app as much if they're just not as addicted.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But as maybe a surprising one that's been doing well lately is Reddit. Reddit has done really well, but I think
Mm-hmm.
Reddit's one that kind of maybe doesn't try too hard to copy other social medias. It has maybe a clear
Has its own charm to it. Yeah.
identity. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love Reddit, and I think it goes back to choosing how you use social media. You are choosing these groups that you want to be a part of. You're choosing who you want to be associated with. Like, yeah, sure, there's negative communities on there, but if you choose not to be in that negative community, you're not in there. You know?
I mean, even I'm on Reddit right now. It's a good example. They have sort by best, hot, new, top, rising. Like Instagram doesn't give
Yeah,
you that as many options.
yeah. No, I think that's a really great point.
Yeah, I guess it's that balance of like how much control do we give to the users? It's like you also don't want it to be like too overwhelming. You look at like Facebook nowadays, there's like a million settings,
Yeah,
whereas like TikTok keeps it like minimal.
it's ridiculous. Even like LinkedIn adding short form. Like, I don't know, they're all just
Yeah,
trying to.
LinkedIn's probably one of my most underutilized social medias.
Yeah, I'm getting very much like more into LinkedIn just because I think that's where a lot of my prospects hang out at.
Mm.
So I'm figuring it out, but yeah, it's definitely another example of just like they're just trying to be everyone else, you know.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing, and it's interesting when you look at the age of social media. So all social media start by just trying to get as many users as possible. Oh, we're
Mm.
not going to show ads. We're going to boost new creators' views. I think that's really the TikTok model. I mean, TikTok is insane, bro. How they've
Mhm.
like marketed that app. Like they give like incentives if people invite friends. I mean, I've seen in my country
It's
if you
crazy.
invite like 20 friends, you can make like $10 or something.
Yeah,
But it's
because they
like
got
they can just invest, and it's
yeah,
just about users. You look at Facebook. Facebook got to the point where they would bring like internet to like remote tribes to get more users.
it's ridiculous.
But even users is a crazy word. It's like users is
Yeah,
like an addict, like which it
yeah.
kind of is. It's this dopamine relationship, and I think the phone is really the modern day vape.
Hmm, hmm.
Like,
Yeah,
oh, we need some connection. Oh, we need some dopamine.
yeah. It's just like what what is the answer? I mean, I think separating utility from entertainment is definitely a method that people have started to go down. We saw the rabbit device, we saw the AI pin, um, focusing on only giving you the features that you need to go about your daily life. But
Hmm.
then, as my issue with that is like as more and more of these businesses start using TikTok, using Instagram as their marketing channels, they have to be on that all the time. They're working when they're on that work, like
That's what I'm
some
saying. It
yeah,
gets the users addicted and the posters, and it gets to the point where like, oh, well, I have 10,000 followers on this Instagram account. I can't delete it.
yeah,
Oh, this
yeah,
is part of my income, and I think that's also what people need to be reminded. You do not own your followers on the Instagram. That's why email lists are important. And that's the
true,
crazy part. You might have 10,000 followers, but that doesn't mean 10,000 of those people will see a post if you do a post.
true,
And another interesting one, just maybe just a side note, but it's like if anyone is trying to grow on Instagram, people post so many stories, and there's no organic growth in stories.
mm,
Zero. You got to do an Instagram post or reels. It's just a side note, but it's funny
yeah,
how like social medias are designed like that. It's like people are like the one that people are posting the most. they're like will disencourage it because it's probably yeah supply demand, I guess. But then there's
Mm,
so great the algorithms are so mad. Like and then dating apps is a whole different crazy thing. I mean,
yeah.
I find dating apps so crazy because they're financially incentivized to keep you single because they will
Yeah.
lose a user if you are in a happy committed relationship.
Mm. That's why like was that the Bumble mission statement, the app that's meant to be deleted? Is that Bumble or is that
But that's the whole thing is like the people who start the next dating app, they like quit the previous one
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's just like and then they like kind of old and then they make money and then there's ads and then and it's like
Yeah,
that whole life cycle of social medias, you know.
it's true. Yeah, it's you're just giving more money to the man, you know?
Yeah, so what excites you? What do you how do you see things progressing with
Um
your business, with your life? Like what are your life goals? Like
what is my why? What is my why?
sure.
um I mean definitely just helping people unlock the creative potential that they have inside them, you know? Like I think there's something so rewarding about just having an idea and seeing it come to life. Even when I was doing logo design freelance, like the feeling of and not even like an ego thing, but just seeing your logo come to life on the screen, and then like a couple weeks later, you see like hundreds of people wearing a T-shirt with that logo on it.
Mm.
Like you can't even describe that feeling. You know, it's super super cool.
Well, I think it's
And
just the rewardingness of seeing the fruits of your labor, and
mhm,
this is actually correlated to the increased depression in our digital age with people working online. People sometimes don't see the fruits of their labor, they don't feel like they
mhm.
did anything. There's a
That's true.
correlation. People who work with their hands often feel more job satisfaction.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good take. Yeah, I mean, you see the house getting built. You see the huh.
It's like being like farming. Like you did something. You like you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Whereas
And
like
there's
sometimes
no
people are
denying that.
so detached from the end product. It's like doing admin for factories a little different than I don't know, growing the fruit or whatever it might be. But I
Yeah,
think yeah, it's just so important to kind of have that connection to what your labor is, and I think you say that well with the digital logos as well.
yeah. Yeah, I think people just need to be more creative. You know, I think that's the answer to a lot of people's problems. It's like with the whole social media addiction, there people aren't bored anymore. You know, people don't have time to be in their own thoughts and have their own ideas, and you know that's when creativity starts. You know, once boredom starts,
Mm,
creativity starts. So
mm,
I think it's super super important for people to experience that, and that is something that excites me about the AI revolution, just because we're we're seeing a lot of these monotonous jobs get replaced by AI, which unlocks potential for tons more creative jobs, and I think that's super super exciting.
yeah, I think one of the best things about late capitalism is the ability for like specialization and mastery. Someone can be an expert singer and not need to make their own clothes or farm their own food or whatever the
Mhm.
case may be.
It's
But
true.
yeah, I think it's really about what are you passionate about and what can you bring that 110% to because at the end of the day, whoever loves the job or whatever they're doing will always go that extra mile and it won't feel like an extra mile, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I think people need to find more enjoyment in their work, and sometimes I even hate using the word work when I say I'm getting stuff done. You know, because it's like it
Mm,
just has that negative connotation to it. And it's like no, it's not work. I get to do this. I get to play this awesome game that's called life.
what a
And
privilege.
what a fucking privilege, dude. And even just what was I gonna say? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just like the idea that you always want to chase the next thing, and like as an entrepreneur you have to chase the next thing. um but if you look back on yourself a year ago, like everyone has that moment where they go, oh, like if only I had this, like if only my life was like this, everything would be perfect. And then you get to that point, and then you have a new if only statement, you know And so I think it is definitely important to remember, you know, how far you've come, and remember
Mm,
why you're why you're still doing it, and be happy that you get to do the work.
100%. It's about perspective and gratitude.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Gratitude is huge. I think I love the idea that you can't be anxious and grateful at the same time. So it's like
Mm.
anytime I find myself, my mind wandering, getting anxious about the next thing, it's like I'm really grateful for that wall that's right in front of me. I'm grateful for this roof over my head. Like
And then there's one like emotional state that's even stronger than gratitude. It's like being showered in gratitude. Like if you think
mm,
back to like a moment of your life where someone was grateful for you,
mm,
that's also like a beautiful place to live from, I guess, or
mm,
to act out of.
mm.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like that feeling kind of fosters in like romantic relationships a lot.
Mm.
Yeah,
I think people go that extra mile out of love.
yeah, dude. Look, that's the answer to everything. Love is the answer to everything, dude.
Beautiful, bro. Yeah, you seem
Yeah.
to have quite a well balanced life. Entrepreneur, healthy relationship, health. Like, what are your other pillars, and like, what would, yeah, what like, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're right.
It's a tricky, it's a very unpaved road. I mean, being an entrepreneur in a lot of ways, or even just nowadays. I mean, it's even
Yeah,
just working online. People need to make good, healthy balances. I don't know if you have any advice there.
yeah, you're 100% right, and that balance is definitely something I'm still working towards. But I'm trying to get better and better every day. I think it's it was hard in the initial stages of, okay, I'm starting to build a business and I have a serious relationship, both two things that were very new to me at the time. So finding the balance between those two things, and then I guess my other pillar would be fitness and health, and that's never really been an issue for me, just because I get so much joy from it. I'm about to go hit a lift right after this. It's just something that I feel great doing, and I know like I've never had a bad relationship with it where it's like, oh, I have to go to the gym. Um, and so I think those are probably the three main things, and then I guess the fourth one would probably just be my faith, just trying to get more in tune with um, you know with God, with Christianity. That's definitely the biggest thing I'm working on right now, and finding that inner peace. Meditation, um, that kind of thing. That's probably the last pillar that I'm kind of missing right now.
The balancing act of life.
There you go. There you go.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Jason. Any closing thoughts, or we can link your Instagram, the website in the description. Anything else?
Absolutely. Yeah. Stacksindustries.com. Check it out. Um, wow, what a full circle. What a way to end it. Like I feel like we just like wrapped it all together. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it came together well. I mean, maybe if you want to quickly kind of maybe touch on your journey with faith, but maybe that's not a quick something. I don't know.
yeah, that'd be a whole nother can of worms. But next podcast,
Cool.
that could be a whole hour, 2 hour podcast in itself.
Great. Well, enjoy your lift and thank you for your time.
Thank you, brother.